Well, thank you, Chair. I do think it's the minister to explain whether by changing the law he's going to, by necessity, create new layers of bureaucracy. And it's especially important for him to answer that question because he's asking school districts out there right now to find $54 million in so-called administrative savings. The premier of this government is tweeting that administration amounts to 7% in school boards when in fact government statistics say that it's much closer to 3%. So there is so much misinformation out there, an accusation by this minister and the premier, and then when we get to a bill that potentially, by changing how professional development is done and who is responsible for it, will create new layers of bureaucracy because, quite frankly, the Ministry of Education doesn't have the capacity to lead professional development, to take it away, to centralize it away from districts and teachers in the regions of British Columbia. He should be answering that question. He should fully disclose, unless he doesn't have a plan, Mr. Speaker. And surely this minister and this government wouldn't introduce a bill with sweeping changes about the conduct of professional development without a plan behind it, would they?
I think so.
So the concern here, Mr. Speaker, and it cuts right across Bill 11 in the debate we've had over the last couple of days, is that the government simply doesn't know what it's doing. But it is taking broad powers upon itself to be able to make sole determination, in this case over the teaching profession, to make sole determination and overrule and look over the shoulder of school boards that administer the budgets that the minister's budget apportions to them, to second guess them, to force them into shared service arrangements with designated providers, to do untold things of unlimited potential. And he has had feedback from the school boards of British Columbia, who were never consulted about this bill, that they reject it. He's been told and reminded by us on this side of the House, but anyone who comments on education, that it's absolutely hypocritical in light of a memorandum of understanding to respect and consult prior to legislation of a memorandum that he signed in only December. Only December. So not only is this legislation offensive, Mr. Speaker, I think we have discovered over the course of this debate that it has no plan behind it. And that's a recipe not only for confrontation that this sector has had all too much of under his government, and mistrust carrying on, when the Premier just said a couple of weeks ago that it's time to work more closely with teachers. This section is utterly offensive and renders meaningless the Premier's words from that time just a week ago after the Court of Appeal decision. Does he not recognize that? How many letters does he need to receive from teachers, from school boards, from all of his education partners who have respectfully asked him to withdraw this section and other sections of the bill in order that their views be heard on it? And he has one last opportunity, I would say, at this point in debate, to work with rather than alienate his education partners, to at least hear their requests. He's shown no urgency that these things need to be forced through at this point in time. Will he do that now?
Mr.
Well, Mr. Chair, the member has a great rewind button. He's hit it a number of times over the last 2 days. I will simply say what I've said. We are going to work with all the stakeholders for the future of education in this province. We're committed to it. That's what this bill provides us the opportunity to do, Mr. Chair. And we know that as we move forward and with the work we do with our partners, we're going to build on one of the best education systems in the world, and we're going to move it ahead to where it needs to go. So,